boys and girls, and welcome back to Storytime with Sister Yvonne. And now that we have learned how to use the armor of God, this week we're going to learn what are some of the enemies of the children of God. What are some of our enemies, you ask yourself? Well, here are two of them. We're going to learn about the flesh and the world because they lead astray from God. In Romans 8:7, the Bible reads, "Because the mind set on the flesh is hostile towards God, for it does not subject itself to the law of God, for it is not even able to do so." This means that our flesh is one of the enemies we must battle against in order to win our battles and please God. Now in Galatians 5:17, the Bible reads, "For the flesh sets its desires against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. For these are in opposition to one another, so that you may not do the things that you please." This means that the spirit is willing to do what's right in order to fight the good battle of faith. But the flesh does not want to look for God, so we have to fight against the desires of our flesh if we want to win our battle. The second enemy we're going to talk about is the world. The Bible tells us that even though we live in this world, we're not of this world. Therefore, we have to fight against the temptations and distractions of this world if we want to win our battles. That is why the Bible tells us in James 4:4, "Do you not know that friendship with the world is hostility towards God? Therefore, whoever wishes to be friend of the world makes himself an enemy of God." Although the world is a beautiful place to live in and God created the world, the Bible also says that as children of God, we have to know that this world is under the dominion of the enemy, our evil one, Satan. That is why we have to fight against the temptations and distractions that he puts around us to distract us from looking for God and pleasing God. And if we can please God, then we can win our battles. Now the Bible reads in Ephesians 5:11, "Do not participate in the unfruitful deeds of darkness, but instead even expose them." And the unfruitful deeds of darkness are those things that are in contrast to the fruits of the Holy Spirit and the will of God. For example, participating in pagan holidays such as Halloween, Easter, or Christmas, St. Patrick's Day, and any other holiday that comes from paganism. And to this we can add gossips, fights, envy, jealousy, and greed, to name a few. These things are so dangerous that we have been warned not to participate in them. Therefore, we must be careful of what we say and do in order to please God and win our battles. Now that you know why the world and our flesh are called our enemies, you have to make a choice whether you want to be friends with the world and the desires of the flesh, or friend with God and resist the flesh and the desires of the world. Now, I would like to share a story with you guys, the story of the fiery furnace, the story about three young men that decided to please God. Let's see the story so that you know what I'm talking about.
Fiery furnace. Daniel chapter 3.
King Nebuchadnezzar's army had defeated the Israelites. Now he was their ruler. King Nebuchadnezzar built a golden statue. Then he made a bad law. It said,
"When the music plays, everyone must bow down and worship the statue. Those who disobey will be thrown into the fiery furnace."
The music began to play. The people fell down and worshipped the statue. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refused.
"We only worship the true God."
They said. The king was mad. The king said,
"Make the furnace extra hot."
He had the three men thrown inside. Yet, when the king looked into the furnace, there were 4 men walking around. One of them looked like an angel from God. The king shouted to the men,
"Come out! Your God has saved you!"
The fire had not hurt them. They did not even smell like smoke. So, the king made them rulers in his kingdom.
Welcome back, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed that story. The story was about 3 Jewish boys that decided to please God instead of bowing down to this statue. They were determined to please and be faithful to God, even though that meant death. Now, the only way that we're going to be able to fight and resist our flesh and the world is by putting on the whole armor of God. Once we have done this, we can trust that God will rescue us from all dangers and temptations, just like he did with the boys in the story. I hope you enjoyed this class. See you next week. God bless you and goodbye.